All right, the Section YY8 podcast is back. We've got Big Montana. He's in dark mode. And we've got a special guest this week. So just to fill y'all in, Harbin is working. This is Monday night. Harb is working. Bless Harbin's heart. Day Vols, I guess Dane has a baseball game tonight, so he couldn't make it. I'm going to be swamped the rest of the week. So we're doing Monday night instead of Wednesday or Sunday this week. Hopefully get back on Sunday. So accidentally sent, we've got T-Money, Thomas Raines here with us this week, noted Vols baseball expert. Accidentally sent him the link to join the Zoom last week. I don't know why. I guess I was texting you or something, but welcome to the podcast, Thomas Raines.
Good to be here.
Where's your dark mode hat?
It's somewhere in the house. I don't remember.
If I'd have known Bolin was wearing his, I would have wore my 90s Vols black interlocking UT hat like I wore Friday to the game. And I'm kind of kicking myself. I wish I would have spent the money, but we couldn't justify it. But we didn't go to the game Saturday night, but we went Friday. It's a cool little.
I was curious. I didn't know if you went to the Clemson game or not. I know you went to the Charlotte game.
Yeah, no, we just went to so for those that don't know, me and my uncle and his buddy PJ went to the Tennessee Charlotte game on Friday night. Coach Rimmer and Big E and Mamal Janis was sitting behind us. Saw Sweat Bee, Dustin Minot down there, who was on TV Saturday night after the Zane Denton home run. So don't think Sweat Bee listens to this, but talked to him for a few minutes. But Coach Rimmer sat right behind us. Saw Coach Browning. He was there. So a lot of local folks came down. But we stayed at the house Saturday night, and my uncle grilled some wings, and we sat in the pool and watched the game from there. So it got a little explosive there in the later innings. We'll talk about that when we get closer to the baseball talk. But we're going to start Lady Vols. Softball's in Oklahoma City. Currently they are trailing, I guess, 5-1.
Down 5-1, the bottom of the seventh, last at bats here.
Yeah. So
1 out.
Probably when you listen to this podcast tomorrow, they'll be eliminated. They'll finish, I guess, in the final four. Good season for the Lady Vols. But I'm just going to put it out there. I was a little disappointed in the game Saturday. And they didn't play well. That's obvious. But I guess I was a little disappointed that Karen Weekly didn't start her big guns, and we'll never know now how they would have fared against Oklahoma. And I know Oklahoma's probably going to win this thing. They're just unstoppable right now. But we started Carlin Pickens, who's a freshman. She's not been very good the last few weeks. Started out the season really good, freshman of the year in the conference, but not been very good. And she never brought in any of her good ones. I don't know. I don't know what. I mean, she took full blame, full responsibility for it, but I don't know. I took a little heat from Day Vol about it because I was kind of pissed off about it Saturday, to be honest, because I don't go into games like that playing to not. She was basically playing to get. She was pushing her cards in that they were going to get out of the losers bracket, and I get that, but I can't. I have a hard time playing the game that way. What do you all think?
I personally think that in these type situations, winning that first game, not losing the game is the most important thing, because you normally got to beat a team twice. It's very hard to do that in these best of 3 series or, 2-loss series or whatever. And it is final. Tennessee loses to Florida State 5-1 ball game.
Sad.
It's just like old buddy from Charlotte yesterday. They asked him if he was preparing for 1 game or 2, and he just flat out told you, "Hey, we're playing 1 game right now." He said there might come a time later, you start thinking about your pitching and stuff where you might hold a guy or leave the guy in a little longer. But if you don't win this one, you ain't playing the next one. So you might as well, leave it all out there.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I know they weren't going to be eliminated and they can play their cards, but it's such an uphill battle. You basically got to win 3 games to get back to them and then win 2 more games. where if you somehow win that game, you only have to win one more to get to the championship. What do you think about it, Thomas?
I'd heard before the whole World Series that in her comment she thought changing a pitcher each inning or multiple pitchers each inning or whatever caused Oklahoma some issues in the regular season. We just don't have the pitching depth to do that. I mean, you're not bringing in quality pitchers. I mean, you're bringing in pitchers that hadn't pitched in 2 months. So had you had pitchers that had pitched regularly, it maybe works, but you're bringing in freshmen and sophomore that haven't pitched all year and expecting them to get out the best team in the last probably decade.
Yeah, I mean, and she seemed, when I was watching a little of it tonight when I was eating supper when I got home finally, she seemed to indicate, talking to Holly Rowe, I won't pronounce the name my uncle calls Holly Rowe, but she seemed to indicate that she had everything she needed to know about her pitchers, and it seemed to be, she never said it, but it seemed to be like there might be something else going on behind the scenes with one of them. I don't know. It was really weird what Holly Rose said. So I don't know. Maybe there's something health-wise going on with one of them. It was just really odd that you go into that game. It's on ABC, a lot of expectations, a lot of hype, and we got down 3-0 early, and it was over. I mean, we had no fight. They were making errors in the outfit. It's like the stage was too big for them. They didn't know. They just got tight. I don't know. And I think a lot of it had to do with we had no chance on the mound. But good season for them, I guess. SEC champs, regular season, tournament champs. Went to the World Series for the 8th time. Still no national title, but good bounce back year after losing in the regionals at home.
Yeah.
I know Ashley Rogers has been dealing with injuries the last couple seasons, so holding her back maybe was, but I don't know why you don't start Goshow or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to save them, because if you going in, I mean, I do see they're probably going in thinking they're going to lose already if you're not pitching with your best. But
yeah,
I mean, the freshman they have, she throws 76. I mean,
oh, she's good. I mean, don't get me wrong. She's
good. She has no control. She can throw it hard, but she doesn't know where it's going half the time.
She's been wild lately, and they talked about it on the broadcast on Saturday how wild she was been. I just thought that's a weird spot to put a freshman that's never been on that stage when you got two hosses, Big Montana, that can throw the ball in there, but
big station wagon ass, all that torque.
That's what I'm talking about. They fill up your whole TV, don't they?
Damn right, big 70-inch up here.
That's why I got a bigger TV at Christmas.
Daggum.
Hey, just so the listeners know, Big Montana and I helped my dad. Well, he supervised, but helped my dad move this wooden table up to their. They've got this screened-in porch, and we had to walk it up steps. And I'm gonna tell you, it was awkward. It was a little difficult. We were.
Didn't even
took
get
everything
offered,
we had to get it up there.
Didn't even get offered a glass of ice water.
No.
After.
No. He said thanks and we left.
Thank you, boys. It looks good. Send it up for me.
It was I tried to pick it up the other day when I was over there, and it was heavy, but I didn't think when we turned it over on its side, it got a little awkward.
Yeah, for sure.
I couldn't hold on to it either. My hands they're just not what they used to be. They're weak. I'm too weak.
Chicken grease on your fingers.
I did eat chicken tonight. And shout out to my uncle Eric. He cooked some fire wings, as the kids say, on Saturday.
Fire, homie.
Or as Reagan says, they slapped. Hella good. I was also talking to a guy at work today, and he kept saying finna. I finna go over there. I'm like, okay. All right. I guess what everybody wants to talk about, Tennessee baseball. Tell me where you were when Big Dick Denton hit that home run on Saturday night against.
Okay,
Clemson.
I've got a good one. So I was in Charleston for a work weekend, and I I was eating dinner and we were kind of watching it from across the restaurant on the bar TV. And it was like, we got down 4-1. And I was like, well, so we ended up going over to Shims Creek, little spot in Charleston. I'm sure a lot of you know about it. And we went to Red's bar and grill to finish watching it. So we walk in and Big Daddy had a big seafood platter, and I was trying to find the restroom. And I walked by, and we had a guy on first and a guy on third, and Denton was up with 2 strikes. I looked over. I said, Mike, this is it. Next thing you know, slap, boom. It was out of here. And I was like, holy crap. And I was like, that's it, man. We got it. Of course, went to the bathroom, come back out. They tied it up. And I was like, oh, shit. So we ended up sitting there for the next 3 hours, basically, watching the next 5 innings of baseball. Awesome game, awesome experience. We were sitting there and like we kept on like getting fired up for Tennessee, and we kind of looked around as the crowd started filling in around 9-10 o'clock. All Clemson fans, and I was like, oh gosh, it's like we're gonna have to mind our P's and Q's here. We're gonna get our ass whipped in Shims Creek. But no, they were all really cool. Shout out to all the Clemson fans that made the night special. So it was a good time.
Before we talk about the game, I do have a shout out. We went to the game Friday, like I said, backed into this little grass tailgating spot. I guess we parked in left field of the stadium. The Memorial Stadium was over to our right. And these 2 dudes pulled up or were next to us and said, oh, God, more Tennessee fans. These guys were awesome. They were very intoxicated. They had been there all day long. They were getting ready they weren't going to the Tennessee game. They were going to this place called Louis, which is a very diverse bar, which we went to eat at after the game because they recommended it. But Danny and Dude's name was John or Joe, his real name, but had a lot of good conversations with them. They were digging through our cooler because they ran out in theirs. But they were thirsty, big time thirsty. But they had a blast talking to him for the hour we sat there. But then some other dudes from Tennessee rolled up. One guy was from Bristol. Actually, both of them were, and they sat at the football games in XX2.
There you go.
So
great section.
Some interesting conversations there before the game. But so it got a little rowdy there on in Spartanburg. We stayed at the house, like I said, and watched the game. At one point, I think it was it when Burns gave up that hit after he came in, my uncle threw his hat, like crow hopped and threw it. He was pissed. It got a little loud as the game went on, but I remember when Denton came up to bat, I was like, just put one in the gap here and let's keep this thing rolling. And then he got down 2 strikes, and I'm like, there's no way it's just the way the game is now. Unless you hit a home run, nothing's going to happen. Well, I mean, he could have put one in the gap, but I was like, just find a way to get on and get it to the next guy. By God, I swear to God, the next pitch, he just tomahawks it out of that stadium. And
he knew it right away. He flipped that bat.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I knew it. I flipped my hat. I mean, you could just tell when he hit it that it was either going to be gone or it was trouble. I guess it was trouble. But yeah, we went a little crazy there. I don't know what Eric and Melody's neighbors thought of all the yelling that went on, but of course it went on and on. What was the game? How long did the game go, Thomas? You know?
It ended at 10:51 p.m.
So 4 hours and 51 minutes.
I got a text from my dad, hello win column, and then he says, now I'm going to supper because they had been traveling back from St. Pete Beach that day and they hadn't eaten since breakfast.
So you couldn't really celebrate, could you? You text me.
No, I had 2 children upstairs asleep, and I was up in the bonus room. And after we hit the home run, I wasn't moving because superstitious. You don't leave the spot that gets you there.
Right.
So I didn't really cheer that much. I just kind of I just soaked it in a little bit.
I like it. I'm be honest, I went crazy. And then I kind of calmed down really quick because I saw Sweatbee on TV. He was going crazy there in the stands.
I saw the guy, and then you sent me that picture later that night, and I'm like, that's not Sweatbee.
I saw it immediately, and I said, rewind that. That's Sweatbee. And my uncle rewound it, and he was like, yeah, it is Sweatbee because he met him Friday night.
Then his wife posted that same picture. And I'm like, okay, well that has to
Yeah.
be.
Oh, it was him. I mean, I knew as soon as I saw it, it was him.
You have that. There are 2 pictures or 2 videos because I think they showed him after we won the game as well.
Oh, really? I didn't see that one.
I could be wrong, but I remember seeing it multiple times. I think he was right in the middle of a crowd by himself.
Yeah, he was there all weekend. I wanted to go back Sunday, but I started looking at it. The game was at 6. It'd be over at 8:39. It's 3.5, 4-hour drive back here from Clemson. So I was looking at getting home at like 1, 2 in the morning. I just didn't want to do it. I mean, I love the Vols, and plus I had a lot going on work wise, so I needed to get back. But it was fun Friday night. Cool stadium, weird warning track. I don't know what's up with that.
They talked about it the whole weekend. One of the old coaches, when they built the stadium, he didn't like warning track. He wants a little mound. Well, it cost him a robbery of a home run on Denton's first home run.
Yeah.
He was going to catch that ball and he tripped.
And I'll say this, the Cajun Cafe on Friday was a total fraud. Looking back on it, it was probably because the Tigers weren't playing, but we were hungry. None of us had eaten. And I was like, let's go check out this Cajun Cafe in right field because we could see it right in front of us. So we walked back there and there's literally nothing behind it. It's like Tennessee's party deck a little bit. It's just this deck and then there was this grass behind it. And there was an usher back there and I said, where the heck is the cafe at? And he said, oh, they grill food up there. It's like a private deck thing. And so it was really, I mean, they made it sound like on TV that you just go back there and get food, but it's like a party deck. It's like Tennessee's party deck. So total fraud.
Did you guys watch the game on Sunday when they played Charlotte?
I did hear, yes.
Yeah, so Tennessee.
No, Tennessee. The two goobers that did the Tennessee game. Did you catch the guy saying he sent the word duck in text messages more times than he can count? Did y'all catch that?
I didn't hear that. Who was that? Tom Hart or Peterson?
I don't really know. I don't memorize these guys' names. They're just actors in my life. But anyway, he was like, I can't tell you how many times I've sent the word duck in a text message by accident. And I was like, well,
oh gosh, I didn't catch that.
Really, yeah, I was sitting there like reading my phone, halfway watching, and I looked up and I was like, did he really just say that on the air?
More than likely, that was Kyle Peterson.
Probably.
Tom Hart probably wouldn't.
Tom had a little forward and slip in the SEC tournament when Vandy was playing. I won't repeat it, but it was late. Well, I mean, Tom's a good announcer. He used to announce for the Smokies. I had a little run-in with him when me and Bo Mayberry and Zach Roach worked there. He was the Smokies announcer, and we would always take breaks and go up to the press box and get something to drink. Well, we were just in there. We didn't know anybody was up there one morning. It was probably about 9 o'clock, and we were up there just talking, and we were pretty loud like this. And apparently he was up there preparing for the game, and he came out and yelled at us and said, hey, some of us are trying to work here. Keep it down. So that's my Tom Hart memory. So, Tom, if you're listening, that's my memory of Tom Hart as the Smokies announcer. So we never went back up there. So, but yeah, what do y'all think about? Will Tennessee host? So we beat Charlotte to advance to the Super Regionals. Southern Miss won this afternoon. They take down. Oh gosh, I've gone blank. Who'd they play? Penn, Pennsylvania, the Quakers. And so now it's 2 number 2 seeds. And from what I'm reading or hearing, the NCAA takes bids in from each school, stadium, facilities, hotels, all the logistical stuff. So does Tennessee host? Yes or no?
I think they do, just because it's Knoxville. Tennessee's probably the more popular team. It's a popularity contest at the end of the day, I think. Better. I mean, I don't really know what the facilities are at Southern Miss. I know that Tennessee has hosted in years past and been able to take care of everything. Tennessee's really hot. I mean, Southern Miss is too, but I mean, like, Tennessee's been in the limelight, I think, a little bit the last 3 years. And I honestly think this is going to be a popularity contest. And I think SEC, just being the SEC, I think Tennessee's going to get it. That's my opinion. I'm probably 100% wrong, but what's the closest city to Hattiesburg or wherever the hell Southern Miss is? Jackson?
Jackson.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know.
Well, I'm looking at their Wikipedia, so it's true, in the words of Michael Scott. Their stadium is called Pete Taylor Park.
Right.
Let's see. In 2011, they expanded Pete Taylor Park. It now holds a capacity of 4,300, which is about like Lindsey Nelson Stadium. So, stadium-wise, it's the same size, but I mean, again, you're talking about Hattiesburg, Knoxville. And I'm assuming they all have enough hotels for two teams, but I don't know. I feel like Tennessee's not going to host because Southern Miss is a feel-good story. Their coach is retiring at the end of the season. They've been here before. Let's make no mistake. They're not just a flash in the pan. They've come out of nowhere. This program's been to the World Series before. So I'm trying to look up when their last trip was, 2 years ago, Thomas?
They hosted Ole Miss last year.
Let's see. They've been in the tournament for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years in a row. They won
hosted. I don't know what seed they were. I don't know what seed in the regional they were, but Ole Miss won in Miami and then came to Southern Miss and hosted and lost 2 straight to the eventual.
Let's see. It says their last College World Series appearance was 2009. They won, like you said, the regional. They've won a regional the past 2 years now. So they've been in the Super Regionals 2 years in a row. So won the Sun Belt this year, won Conference USA in 22, and won it in 17 and 18 as well. But yeah, this is a good baseball program. This is what I tweeted today that Day Vol was complaining about. I was like, who cares where we play? Just win the damn game. JWTDG.
I would like it to be here just because we seem to play better at home, except the last 2 weekends on the true road games. Really, at Clemson and South Carolina. Maybe it's the state of South Carolina that brings out the best in us. I don't know, but we're 5 out of 6 in the state for the season. But all year we haven't played well on the road. And at home we're a completely different team.
Yeah.
The atmosphere, they thrive on the atmosphere.
Yeah. And it's gonna be a wild. I watched the Penn game the other night at Southern Miss. It's gonna be a wild time if they play down there. It's gonna be a wild atmosphere.
It was wild last year when they hosted Ole Miss.
It wasn't at Southern Miss. It was at Auburn, but their fans were rowdy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good baseball program. Big Montana. Here's my thing. This is what worries me. I feel like we're being set up here. We're going to probably have to go to Hattiesburg. Their coach is retiring. It's a feel-good story. All that bull crap. We've seen this script before, whether it be football or basketball, where, let's see, basketball, we had Sister Jean. The Purdue game we lost. Let's see, who was it? Last year we were set up and lost to Florida Atlantic. Feel-good story, right? Football, we lost to South Carolina this past year. Are we being set up here for another one of these catastrophes?
The other thing is they're saying, like 2 years ago, Mississippi State won. Last year, Ole Miss won. So the next Mississippi school is going to be Southern Miss. I say no.
Win the World Series.
I say no. I think the good Lord is a volunteer. He volunteered his life for you and me. And I think the Vols are going to come out of there this weekend. Amen.
Does it go 2 or 3 games?
I'm gonna say it goes 3, just because I think that both schools are going to be good. If you're Tennessee, I hope you win the first one. It's a lot easier to win 1 and 3 than it is to win 2 and 3 in my book. So I think if we host, we can win the first 2. But I think if we travel, we're going to have to win that first one to have a chance, to be honest with you. So anyway, have faith. Keep the faith.
What do you think, Thomas? Does Tennessee win this thing?
If we win game 1, we win game 2. We don't lose game 2 if you win game 1. I don't think that. It depends on who Southern Miss starts. They started their ace today, who pitched a complete game on Friday and threw 123 pitches. He threw 3 innings today. Is he going to be available for Friday? Or are they going to hold him back to Saturday or game 2?
Is that Tanner Hall?
Yes. And we may be playing, it may be a Saturday, Sunday, Monday, because we don't know what game 1 of the series will be, but if it would benefit them if it was a Saturday, Sunday, Monday, just for their pitching staff, because they've used probably we used 8 pitchers total the whole weekend, and they probably used 8 today. I mean,
yeah.
My next question: does Southern Miss play on turf or grass?
I believe it's grass. I don't know that for a fact though.
That might weigh into the decision too with the weather, if we host or not, because we got turf, so we might be able to dry it up quicker, boys.
I'm looking here at their pitching staff, so I'm guessing these guys are their well, we'll say their weekend starters. Tanner Hall, 7-2, 2.23 ERA, 64 2/3 innings, 79 Ks, 17 walks. Don't see his whip on here. And then you got Nico Mazza, 5-1, 3.33 ERA, 48 2/3 innings, 64 Ks, 25 walks, a little bit, his whip's a little bit higher than Hall's. And then you got a Billy Oldham. He's 3-1, 2.76 ERA, 32 2/3 innings. So they've not really, I don't know what Tennessee guys have thrown. I'd have to look it up, but it seems like they got some pretty good starters. Now I don't know about their bullpen. But I think it's going to be tough. If it's here, I say Tennessee wins. If it's down there, it's more of a toss-up to me because of what Thomas said earlier. We haven't played well on the road, but we have here recently. So maybe that's done and gone with.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, boys, you beat Clemson. You come back from 4-1. That just gave that team so much confidence to be able to come back. And, you know, Clemson's a great ball team. And, like, when you get to this part of the year, every team is going to be good. You're not playing any slackers now. I was really impressed how they played Charlotte. I will say this, you know, we're going to have to play good defensively. And obviously you're going to have to score some runs, but I think Tennessee's got that under wraps. But, like, the unnecessary errors and the pitching, you know, leaving balls high and stuff like that, it's got to stop.
They have been playing better defensively the last half of the season.
I think so too. But, like, that's, you know, walking a guy and giving up a home run. That's how you get beat this time of year. It's how you get beat all the time. But, like, if Tennessee can control that, they've got a good shot of
what was it Saturday against Clemson? There was a walk, and then didn't one of their, I can't remember the whole process. Somebody hit a little dribbler that didn't get out of the infield. The next guy hit a bomb.
Single, walk, and then the 3-run homer.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Then Graydon Gross or whatever hit the double down the line on the first pitch from Burns. And then you're thinking, well, here we go against another South Carolina situation where he can't, you know. But then he started throwing slider. He was throwing slider every pitch, and they couldn't hit it.
I ought to say, I didn't mind them taking out Dolander right there to bring in Burns in that situation. I just felt like it was different because Dolander they were starting to hit him harder. South Carolina a couple weeks ago was not hitting him hard when they took him out. But I like the move to Burns, even though he gave up a hit right out of the gate. But he calmed down, and he pitched his rear end off Saturday night. I mean, he kept him in the game, and then Halverson came in and did the same thing. We're loaded. So I said last week when we on our last episode, me and Harb, like, we've been waiting all year. I mean, the pitching's not been bad, but we've been waiting all year for them to come in. Like, this is our game. Offense scores 4, 5, 6 runs, and we'll take it from there. And I feel like that's what they did Saturday night. I mean, you give up 5 runs in 14 innings. That's pretty dang good.
I mean, even though we haven't been as good as on paper as we were last year, I think we still have a top 5-10 ERA in the at least SEC, if not top 10 in the country, because our bullpen, you know, we're set up for postseason play. Maybe more for regional play than super regional because it's like a 3-game series, but we can bring any arm out and have faith that they can get out of it if they're on. So
yeah, that's what me and Harb have said last week, and then we've said it all year. They've not been bad, but it just feels like there's been a little something different with them this year. But hopefully they I mean, all of them pitched great this weekend. Lindsey on Friday, the game we were at, he had a little issues there at the start, but got out of a bases loaded jam in the first inning and then dominated his former team, Charlotte, the rest of the way. And then Dolander pitched pretty well. I know he only went 4 1/3 or something like that, or 2/3, whatever it was. And then Burns and Halverson, and then Sunday Beam was just lights out. Sewell came in out of the bullpen. So, I mean, Seacrest and Cannell only threw one batter or a couple batters apiece on Friday night. So they really didn't throw it all, but the pitching staff was outstanding. Besides Christian Moore, they carried the team. Christian Moore really carried them with his bat. Well, and Denton too, but
we gave up 8 runs all weekend, I think.
Yeah.
So how does this next round work? We just play Southern Miss, best 2 out of 3, and the
2 out of 3, yeah.
Yes.
And that winner of that goes to the World Series, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so there's 16 teams left basically after these games wrap up today.
Mm-hmm.
Those 16 play. After that, there's 8. Correct?
Yes.
Correct.
There's 8 go to Omaha.
8 go to Omaha. All right.
We're in the Sweet 16, Big Montana.
Gotcha. So that's where we want to be. So it looks like out of the SEC, Texas A&M's playing right now. They're tied 1-1 with Stanford in the top of the 4th. It looks like LSU, Arkansas got put out. Florida won. LSU, Kentucky, and Tennessee all made it to the Super Regionals. Am I correct on that?
I believe so. Yeah, I'm trying to pull it up here.
Yeah.
Thomas, is that right?
Yeah, Florida, Kentucky,
LSU, and Tennessee. Maybe Texas
LSU, Tennessee. A&M has a chance.
Yep. Well, I'll tell you what, Arkansas shit the bed. TCU just whipped them 2 days in a row.
TCU's been on the same top tier that Clemson was on. They won 17 out of 19. But when you score 32 runs on Arkansas in 2 games,
yeah,
I mean, they're just hitting.
I was really surprised to see Duke beat Coastal. That kind of surprised me. I thought Coastal would go to the Supers.
Every team that played a force and if necessary game won except for Coastal. Because Florida came back, beat Texas Tech twice. Kentucky beat Indiana twice.
Yep.
So I was laughing earlier today. I was finishing up some stuff at work this evening, and flipped on YouTube TV real quick and saw that Arkansas was just getting their hind end set on fire by TCU. And I'm just laughing at it because they've had this chip on their shoulder against us the last couple years, and they keep slipping up and not going as far as we are, just not having the success that we've had. But I thought that was pretty funny. Vandy lost. They took the L, take the V and turn it into an L. So that was pretty cool. Let's see who else lost. Auburn. That was extremely funny because my cousin Reagan went to the game. Recent graduate. She went to the game on, I guess, Friday night when they lost in extra innings, like 6-3 or something like that to who'd they lose to? Penn. They lost to the Quakers.
They lost to Penn on Friday, yeah.
And then she was going to go Saturday, but they went out and partied too much Friday night, and it was too hot Saturday, just too hot. So they stayed and took naps, and Auburn lost. So her last Auburn sporting event as a student, she took a big fat L.
And Alabama made it also in the SEC.
I don't. Oh, did they win the first 2 or we're done?
They won every game. Friday night they went to extras against Nicholls State, I think it was. Saturday we're down to their last out and hit a ground ball to shortstop at Troy, who needed to throw it away, and they scored 2 runs to go up 9-8, and then ended up scoring 2 more and ended up beating Troy. And then I don't know how close the game against
what about South Carolina? Did they make it too?
Oh, South Carolina. Yeah, they had it pretty easy.
They steamrolled.
They scored. Yeah,
that was a little surprising. I thought Campbell might give them a little bit more. I didn't think Campbell would beat them.
Campbell
but I thought they'd give them a little more
hosting instead of Auburn. But then Campbell, lost game 1 of their series, and then
I really thought Auburn shouldn't have hosted and Alabama shouldn't have hosted. I thought Campbell and Southern Miss should have hosted.
Yeah. So basically, SEC's got 8 teams in the last 16,
and 4 of them will host right now, or 3, or is it 3 of them?
That's pretty
the
wild.
LSU's going to host Kentucky. South Carolina. Who would they be playing? Was that the?
Don't they play Virginia? No, Virginia plays.
Play Florida, the 2 seed, so they'll go to Florida. Virginia is facing who is it?
I'm gonna look it up here.
They said it earlier and I can't remember. Oral Roberts just came into the Oklahoma State region and as a 4 seed and dominated every team they played.
So it looks like right now Texas is still waiting on an opponent. It'll either be Stanford or Texas A&M. Man, that would be great. You talk about a juicy matchup.
If A&M wins that one, then it's NCAA has to make another decision on it. Are you going to go to A&M or are you going to go to Texas?
Yes. Let's see. Alabama will travel to Wake Forest, who's the 1 seed. South Carolina travels to Florida. Duke will travel to Virginia.
Duke's going to Virginia.
Yes.
Duke is Virginia. That's what it was.
Oregon is going, I think, to Oral Roberts. Man, I didn't see that coming.
No, Oregon will be the host.
Sorry,
2 seed. Oral Roberts will go to Oregon.
That's right. So Oregon advanced out of the Nashville region, so they beat Vandy, but the other teams in there were Eastern Illinois and Xavier. Oral Roberts was in the Stillwater region. Oklahoma State out, Dallas Baptist out, Washington Huskies out. So that's not a matchup that I think people didn't see coming. Then you've got, this kind of stinks for Indiana State, but Indiana State is supposed to host TCU, but they're moving it to Fort Worth because the Special Olympics are in Terre Haute this weekend, and they don't have the hotels and logistical stuff they need in Terre Haute to deal with that. So they're going to Fort Worth. That kind of sucks. And then you got Kentucky going to LSU. And then we'll see Southern Miss and Tennessee. We'll find out 10 a.m. on Tuesday morning. You might be listening to this and already know, but as of the recording of this, we don't know. So I hope it's Knoxville. I'm not holding my breath, but it will be absolutely crazy because I think it'll be more crazy than it was last year because nobody was expecting this year. I think we were expecting to get in the tournament and we were hoping to win. And then probably if we did travel somewhere, I don't think many people had us hosting somebody, whether it be Penn or Southern Miss. I had in my mind we were going to win and travel to Auburn next weekend. But I think I told Harbin last week, I think Southern Miss, I may have texted to somebody this week. I'll have to pull it up and see. Pretty sure I did. Southern Miss was going to win that region. I just felt like Auburn was overrated. So that came to fruition, but I don't know. Have y'all watched the squeeze play on ESPN?
I've had it on from 12 p.m. at work to 1 a.m. at home all weekend.
How awesome is that thing? That's all we watched on Saturday.
I had that
when the Lady Vols were on.
They said it's like their 10th year. I didn't know anything about it until last season.
Yeah, I never heard of it until last year.
And I turned it on last year, and I'm like, this is the best thing ever.
After Tennessee got through playing last night, I was working on some stuff for work, and I had it on in the background. And when I got done, I laid down to go to bed and watched it till I fell asleep last night. They had 3 or 4 games on the screen. They would occasionally go into one, and I guess so they could go take a bathroom break. Chris Burke and that other guy and Chris Budden. But no, that squeeze play on ESPN Plus has been game changer this week. It was awesome.
I don't know anything about it. What is it, like Red Zone or something?
It's kind of like Red Zone.
And it's just like it's similar to Red Zone, but they put multiple screens up. And then they'll go in the studio every once in a while, but they'll talk over the video. But then they'll have go into broadcast and you'll hear the broadcast, but you'll still have like 3 or 4 games going on, and just one broadcast playing it.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's probably on. I don't know if it's on right now or not. I haven't turned it on.
No, it went away because there's only one game going on, so there's no more. but it's coming back. They'll be back next weekend.
Yeah, because there'll be multiple games on at the same time. I just hope they don't put Tennessee on ESPN Plus again. I get why they did, but I still hate it.
I've seen multiple tweets, I don't know, maybe by the same person, that the SEC Network has been showing orange and white or red and purple or whatever games and replays of documentaries this weekend.
Well, they had a game on. Did they not have a game on this weekend?
They had one game, but they've been playing other. I mean, we were on. I don't know. There was a game going on last night when we were playing.
Because the ACC Network was carrying a game this weekend.
ACC Network, I think, carried. I think Longhorn Network probably carried some games, but SEC was playing documentaries. I think re-airs of documentaries instead of, I think the Florida game was on ESPN Plus or whatever.
I guess I was surprised that it wasn't on the SEC Network. Our game Sunday night wasn't on there because we're an SEC team and Charlotte's not a ACC or. And I know there was the NBA finals were on ABC, so that took a network away. And then ESPN had the Lady Vols, the College World Series was on one of those on ESPN too. So they were very limited on what they could show. So I get it, but
it's Stanley Cup also.
Well, that's on TNT.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's not on ESPN. So
my entire family was using my ESPN Plus account this weekend, the last night, to watch the game.
I'm going to tell you, I did watch it. I got gifted a password for it for the weekend, but I listened to John Wilkerson. I listened to the first 3 or 4 innings. I put it on my sound bar and listened to the Vol Network. I love listening to baseball on the radio. I always have.
I enjoyed mowing the church and listening to John Wilkerson on the app or whatever. It's very soothing.
I listen to the Cubs quite a bit on XM. Pat Hughes, he does a great job. He's been around forever. Newly minted Hall of Famer, Pat Hughes, Cubs radio announcer. But I love listening to baseball on the radio. I've always enjoyed it. So I didn't really care. I mean, I finally got on and did watch it, but I was content to sit on the couch and had the Lady Vols game on mute and was listening to John Wilkerson. I about said John Ward. That would have been great. John Ward announcing that. Can you imagine John Ward announcing that Zane Denton home run?
And beautiful.
Good.
Bob Kessling would have been, well, there's a home ball at the left field and it's out of here.
I'm afraid Wilkerson.
How much better is college sports than pro sports right now?
Oh, it's so much better. I hate pro sports, to be honest.
I mean, I like them, but there's just so much more pageantry and emotion, and I'm sitting here watching Stanford and Texas A&M right now. I watched a little bit of the Lady Vols earlier, but it's fun. I just like it.
I'm gonna be honest. I watched game 6 and 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals NBA the other night. That was pretty compelling, except sorry, Big Montana. Game 7 wasn't much there at the end. But I watched game 1 of the finals the other night and I just half paid attention. I just can't get into it. But I'll watch the NFL on Sunday, but I do not invest in it like I do college football and college basketball and college baseball. There's something about college sports. It's amateur sports. Well, not really anymore, but I don't know. There's an energy around it that's a lot different than if you go to a pro game. In most pro stadiums, there are some college-like stadiums in pro sports, but not very many. All right, Tennessee baseball. We'll hopefully know more where they're playing this weekend. You'll probably know it by the time you're listening to this. So a lot of this stuff we're saying is probably irrelevant. Hater and loser of the week. So shout out to Harb. He won last week again. My hater and loser of the week. Gosh, I don't even remember. Harb won. Let's just say that 100% of the vote. He was Lexington / Kentucky or Lexington / NCAA for how they handled the regional with no hotels, and they were shoving kids in dorms for $185 a night. So, and the Railroad Festival or the Railbird or whatever it was called, Big Montana was there in Lexington. I think Remington 69 may have been up there this weekend. So Harbin was upset that he couldn't go, but
oh no, that's terrible.
Yeah, it was. But congrats to
Bunch
Harp.
of-
He won Hater and Loser of the Week. Big Montana, we'll start with you. Who's your Hater and Loser of the Week?
So I did some traveling this weekend, going there and coming back. One of my pet peeves and my biggest hater and loser of the week goes to people who drive on the interstate that slam on their brakes, and a cop's got somebody pulled over and they're 3 lanes over, but they slow down to look, see what's going on. Or like if you're driving in the mountains and there's a big opening, it's real pretty, everybody stops and looks. Like, just keep driving. Just driving home from Charleston, we were in Asheville. We just come to a dead stop traffic, and I'm like, oh, there must be a bad wreck or something, or construction. No, it started moving again, and like, it was just nobody like was pulled over to the side or anything. It was just people just slowed down real slow to look, or there may have been a deer. Turned out there was a dead bear on the side of the interstate. Somebody hit it, but like they just kept on going. So I guess people were like stopping and taking pictures of a dead bear. But God forbid. Listen, if you want to see stuff like that, move away from Ohio. Quit traveling through our states that we use to go on vacation. So I guess just dumbass drivers is my biggest hater and loser of the week. In particular, people from the state of Ohio. I don't know what you all do up there or how you all go about getting a license, but it's totally wrong. You ruin my vacations every year for the most part. You come to Pigeon Forge, and just the scent of you all really just discourages me from going up there, enjoying the mountains. Stay where you're at. Watch LeBron James on TV, your hero. Root for the Buckeyes. Who cares?
This happens to me pretty much every day when I come home from work. From 640 to the Strawberry Plains exit is always backed up, and there's never an accident. There's never a car pulled over. Traffic just comes to a dead stop, and then when you get to a certain point, it just opens up like the floodgates open. And I think it's just stupid people riding their brakes, cramming on their brakes because traffic's a little heavy. It's just there's a lot of bad drivers out there.
Yeah.
It's sad.
I think the term is rubberneckers.
Yeah.
I think that's the correct term. Just, somebody's pulled over. Let's go 20 miles below the speed limit as we pass this cop. Like, just get over and go. Like, who cares? Do you know the guy?
The worst ones are when there's a wreck on the other side of the interstate going the other direction and everybody slows down.
Yes, 100%.
Stupid. By the way, I'm looking up RPI for baseball. When was this updated? Oh, that's not relevant. Never mind. Maybe this is updated. Sorry, I'm getting way off track here. Tennessee is now number 12 in the RPI. And where's Southern Miss? Where do you think they're at?
20.
Where's UT at?
12. We've been in the 20s most of the year. We're up 8 spots. So we're up from 20 to 12.
I saw earlier today we were 17 and they were 20.
Southern Miss right now, this is WarrenNolan.com, they are 17. But they're up 4 spots from 21. So I think they do a lot of, Kentucky's number 2. Kentucky's 2, Florida 3, LSU 4, Arkansas 5, South Carolina 6, Vandy
because their
7.
RPI has been top 5 all year for some reason.
Yeah. Well, I think they scheduled pretty hard, but yeah, we're up to 12, so maybe the NCAA will take that into consideration when they're making the bid.
Some other SEC news I just saw reminded me. Georgia has hired a baseball coach after firing theirs and they've hired LSU's pitching coach, Wes Johnson.
Probably a good move.
Kendall Rogers, D1 Baseball, reported that Georgia is not willing to spend big money on a baseball coach, so they had to go the assistant route. I saw that earlier, right before we started.
I saw that, yeah.
It's probably one of the best assistants in the country, though, no?
Probably.
Boys.
What does that tell you about your program if you're not willing to put out some money. I mean, I guess baseball is a little bit different.
It
But
tells you they've won 2 national championships in football, and who gives a shit?
Yeah. And Georgia, that's weird to me. And basketball and baseball, Georgia is so weird to me because Atlanta is right down the road, especially in
Right.
baseball. There is a lot of baseball talent in that area. And I know Georgia Tech has always been pretty good, but they've not been great the last 10, 15 years. It's really surprising to me that those two programs aren't on the national level more than they are, especially Georgia.
Well, you can be a multi-sport school now. It's been proven.
We're doing it.
We're doing it. Florida's done it in the past. Ole Miss does it. Whatever. Yeah, I mean, we are so blessed. I know we get on here and we bitch and Rick Barnes and Tony and Heupel and all this other stuff, but we are very rich in sports right now when it comes to. I mean, we're honestly. I think today I think that somebody said we're top 15 nationally ranked in every sport. That don't happen much, folks. It's pretty wild.
Not around here, it doesn't. Thomas, do you have a hater and loser of the week or not?
I'm gonna throw one out just based on one of your comments earlier. The Arkansas fans and the baseball program, because all they tend to do is anything tweeted about Tennessee. There's one or two Arkansas people running their mouth about we haven't won anything, and then you look at them. Well, they haven't won anything either. So I'm gonna go with Arkansas, maybe the whole state of Arkansas.
Yeah, Arkansas. I don't really have anything against the state of Arkansas, but
there's nothing in the state of Arkansas. I mean,
yeah,
I've driven through it 3 or 4 times, and I think I maybe fell asleep driving through it and about died one time going to Cotton Bowl, but
the Ozarks are beautiful, but they're not the Smokies.
I've never been. That's one place I haven't been to is Arkansas. I've got to get the next time we play in either. I hope it's Fayetteville or at War Memorial Stadium in Little Rock. But yeah, I haven't been there.
That's my last SEC school, I believe.
I've still got. Of course, Oklahoma's coming in. We don't have to worry about them. But now I'll have Texas. But I've still got the 2 Mississippis: Mississippi State, Ole Miss. I haven't been there in Arkansas. But
I've been to Ole Miss and Mississippi State a handful of times because that's near where my dad grew up. So we would stay with my grandparents and drive down.
We'll have to knock out the Texas Stadium at some point. So Thomas's hater and loser of the week nominee is Arkansas fans. So I want to go back on mine. Was a couple weeks ago. My nominee was Aria Gerson, a beat reporter for Vanderbilt. I think she basically concentrates on baseball, but she's got this thing where she always has to take a little jab at Tennessee all the time. And if you don't know who she is, look her up. She's this kind of goofy looking, homely looking girl that covers sports. But she tweeted on June 3rd, tired. Should baseball teams start their ace in regional game 1? And then she says, wired. Should a softball team start their ace when facing literally the best team ever in the Women's College World Series? She's taking a jab at Tennessee not starting Ashley Rogers or whatever the other girl's name is. Vanderbilt doesn't even have a women's softball team. They literally don't even have a softball team. Area, sit this one out. You're an idiot, but you're not my nominee for hater and loser of the week. My nominee for hater and loser of the week is Day Vol.
Oh,
for attacking me on Twitter this afternoon. Unprovoked attacks on Twitter, calling me a Southern Miss fan. Now, in his defense, I did used to play a Southern Miss on college football video game all the time. My cousin went to Southern Miss, graduated from there. I used to follow their football team. But when Tennessee played them, I wanted us to beat the living daylights out of them, and we usually do. And it will be the same this weekend. But I believe I said, I don't know what instigated it, but Tennessee baseball tweeted, super regional set. We'll know 10 a.m. tomorrow. Day Vol tweets, just go down there and win. Just go win 2 down there and head to the CWS because we know the NCAA isn't going to let Tennessee host. He said, even though Tennessee has better resume, facility, city, hotels, etc., and I responded, stadium seems to be the same size. Factually correct. We just talked about it. He responds, here comes the Southern Miss fan. And then earlier in the day, Landry Stanton, unprovoked attacks against me on here, started. Let's see, where was it at? Oh gosh. Let's see. Day Vols says you couldn't watch the game last night, which I was watching, but Harb was supposed to come over, but I had to cancel on him because I had some work to do. So I tweeted earlier today, it would be nice. Actually, I said I would be nice. I meant it. I can't spell. It would be nice if Tennessee hosts next weekend, but honestly, who cares? JWTDG. True. Day Vols says, wouldn't watch the game yesterday because it was on ESPN, and now he is tweeting he doesn't care Tennessee hosts because he is a Southern Miss fan. And Landry had to chime in and said he's too worried about Karen Weekly giving him the something sign, the shush sign, I guess. Just a lot of unprovoked attacks against me, misinformation out there. Day Vol is my hater and loser of the week. But I do love you, Day. But you're my hater and loser of the week. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Hashtag. And you took mine and Big Montana's aisle seats in Neyland Stadium.
Yeah, I'm still a little bitter over that.
And that's probably my fault for not making sure, but I just assumed when I told the guy that I've always had aisle seats that I would get aisle seats. And we walked into the stadium last year for what game was that? Ball State. Who did we play first last year at home? Ball State. And me and Big Montana had to squeeze our big rear ends into seats 3 and 4 on that row.
Yep. Big F-250 and 2500 sitting there just knocking mirrors, baby.
It was fun. Great section. I got to sit next to visiting fans every game last year except the Ball State game. Florida, Alabama, but they were all nice people. It was a great time. I had fun talking to him. One guy I think was a millionaire. He owns a cabin in Gatlinburg, and he comes back and forth between here and Tampa, and he just comes up whenever he wants. So I was like, well, awesome. Maybe I should come to your cabin sometime and hang out. Or let me rent it or something for free. So
without you there.
I said that. That came out wrong.
Throw that out. Throw that in.
That came out wrong. I'll edit that out. I'm just kidding. That's not what I meant. Here we go again. I have a bad habit of saying stuff like that. Sad.
Oh, sad.
All right. Well, that's this week's show. Do y'all have any closing thoughts?
Go Vols. We need some rain.
How we do? It's dry out there.
It's very dry. I'm glad I have the week off. It's gonna be nice. Just go win some baseball games, man. We'll have a little fun. It's just a damn game. It's a children's game. Go win it.
The kids' game.
Go win it. It's a kids' game. You know, we're not doing it's hitting the math competition or a spelling bee. Go out there, hit the baseball and catch it a little bit. Oh, to first base. You got this.
We do need to get back to the World Series, though. Kind of make up for last year a little bit. Thomas, any closing thoughts?
No, go Vols and
Go Vols. Well,
Southern Miss.
Thomas, if the Vols win, we'll have you back on next week to talk College World Series. We'll hopefully record. Well, it depends on when the Vols are playing this weekend. If they're playing Sunday night, we won't record.
I do have a shout out before we leave. I have a lot of friends that are Clemson alumni, and I just want you all to know I love you and I'm praying for you. The state of Tennessee owns Clemson. The SO Club sucks. Howard's Rock is a joke. All your traditions suck. You don't have a band that's worth a shit. You play rap music. There's no tradition. You come in off a bus. You run down a hill. Nobody cares. Tennessee owns you. We own your thoughts. It's a beautiful thing. There's one shade of orange. It's Pantone 151, right?
Yes.
Damn
so
right. You don't wear purple. Grow up.
I will say, I mentioned earlier we went to this bar/restaurant called Louis that Danny and Dude, the Clemson fans, recommended. very, I shouldn't say diverse. It was diverse. Eclectic crowd, I guess might be a good word. Black people, white people, Hispanics, young, old, male, female. There was a band playing. Great food. I mean, we were there pretty late, but it was packed. We got there at like 10 o'clock. And it was pretty packed in there, but it's not in Clemson. It's right outside of it, but it was in a little strip mall. So it was an interesting place. I'd go back there. Eric said he might take Melody sometime and for a little Friday night date night entertainment. It was pretty good though, but we may have just been really hungry. But yeah, Clemson was awesome. Like to go back there for a football game sometime. Wish the Vols would.
It's a very cool college town. Very fun atmosphere. The stadium is super tall.
I noticed that.
I've seen many games there. It goes from A to Z and then from AA to ZZ. I've sat in XX a couple times. It's nosebleed, but I've seen some pretty cool games at Clemson. Been on the field there a couple times to watch games. Had some hookups from some friends. But we own your ass, so it is what it is.
It is funny how we've we beat them in the Orange Bowl, and then I heard several of them walking in like we're gonna get our revenge, and they were tweeting it too, and they just couldn't do it Saturday night. Yeah. And I think we crushed them. We seriously crushed their soul. They looked so flat. I didn't watch the whole game. They just looked so flat on Sunday, and you could say that game took it out of them, but I really think we broke their hearts. We crushed.
They were without their freshman player of the year, All-American who got ejected in 13th inning, but which then they played a guy that has never had one at bat all his whole career, and he's a junior.
Yeah.
And the one at bat was against us.
That was crazy. That is crazy. I kind of don't. I thought that was kind of BS that he got ejected, but he was running his mouth. I mean,
and there was a warning. I mean,
hey, everybody last year bitched and moaned about Tennessee doing that stuff. Now they're actually doing something about it, and everybody's bitching and moaning about them throwing people out. So what do you want?
Somebody got ejected for a chain.
Indiana.
Who was that?
Indiana player brought out a red chain out of the dugout to give to a guy for a home run, and he got ejected and suspended for game 1 against Kentucky yesterday.
I'll be honest with you. I think some of that stuff's stupid because these referees need to stay out of these games as much as possible. Now, if you're in a guy's face talking shit, like, yeah, let's stop it. But, like, if you're walking off the field and you're 20 feet away from a guy and you're telling him, hey, suck it, whatever, like, that's just ball, man. Like, if you don't like it, keep me out of your end zone.
We were talking.
That was my Cam Newton feel.
One of Morgan Wallen's songs. He brags about it in his new album. Catch a cleanup, looking on a third strike, talk a little smack as he's walking back.
Woo,
That's his baseball, man. I mean, I didn't do that, but also didn't strike out cleanup hitters all that often. But yeah, real quick, we're about to wrap up here. The alumni, I didn't mention it last week, but Carter High School hosted the alumni game a few weeks ago, and we all played in it. I pitched 1 inning. Grubb pitched an inning. All of us from the 01, the last team to win a region title at Carter, which is sad, played in it. Not all of us, but me and Bo Mayberry, Griff, Bell, Grubb, Maxwell. But I threw an inning. Felt pretty good. Did pretty well. I gave up 1 run on 1 hit. Walked a guy, but it was like an 8 or 9 pitch at bat. And my team lost 5-2 or 5-3, whatever, but nobody cared. But I got up and played golf the next morning and felt pretty good. And then I came home and ate lunch and took a nap. And I literally, for about a day and a half, couldn't move. So I paid the price, but it was fun. It was I think Carter Baseball raised about nearly $3,000 so they can do some facility upgrades and renovations over there. Historic Allen Grubb Field at Carter Park. So hope they do that next year. It was pretty fun, but didn't get to talk about that last week. I totally forgot. So
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's this week's show. Hopefully we're back on Sunday night or sometime early next week talking about the Vols. Heading back to Omaha for the second time under Tony V. Hopefully they don't blow it like they did last year, but you never know. It's Tennessee. So, Thomas, hopefully we'll see you back next week. You will be on if the Vols advance.
I'll be here.
It's a guarantee, as Vince McMahon says. Big Montana, he's back this week. First show in a couple times. Harb had to work tonight. Sorry, not sorry. But we'll have him on. And maybe one day Day Vol will come back. He's on the milk carton right now.
And Gavin. We need Gavin.
I've seen, I didn't mention, I did tweet this. I have seen Gavin. He was at my house last week doing some work. So I told Harbin last week, I reached out and touched him to make sure he was real. And he was here.
He was here.
He was here. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't seeing things. I was like yeah, you're real.
Touching the Lord's garment.
Yeah. That's like doubting Tom. Is that you, Gavin? All right. That's this week's show. Appreciate everybody listening. You can find us on YouTube and anywhere you get podcasts. And judging by it, tell your friends. Nobody's been listening, but it's like the Indians in Major League. Nobody's listening anyway, so who cares what we say on here? But there are some that listen, and we do appreciate it, so thank you. So for Big Montana, Thomas Raines, T-Money, this is Negative Nease, and we'll see you guys next week on the Section YY8 podcast.